All right, you devils out there, happy Friday. Sam here with you. This is the 23rd, and it's just now after 1 o'clock here. So I've been working through the TA here, being sure I've got every scenario that I can come up with. I always look for a little assist from some of my senseis, see if they've got something different. I think we're all pretty much in agreement that, well, if you put your Elliott hat on, it's hard to see a path to get out of here without a break of this low here. If indeed that this is a significant low here. So I think about 17.8 here, little congestion here. But what would appear the most obvious count would be that we're in the midst of an impulse here on the way down here. Now there's some extremely bearish alternatives here, but I don't think we need to go there yet. All right, so we're going to dig into this multiple counts here, and we'll get down to the short-term stuff in a sec here, just after a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to us by BitGet. Now, this is quickly becoming one of my favorite exchanges. It's very fast and easy to use, no KYC. You're up and running in 5 minutes, really. It's pretty easy to get started here. Now, if you wanted to support the channel, right, it's up to you. No hard feelings if you're not comfortable with that, but we would get some compensation if you were to use our link. Now, a couple of bonuses here that'll come with it if you were to be inclined to use our link and sign up and enroll and fund your account. Well, we've got a little promotion that's going on here, up to $43.23 of dollar tether, and that's good. This is going on through the to the 24th of December. But a few additional other promotions here. Just create an account. There's $10 in US dollar tether. Deposit 100. It's up to 100. This is into a futures account. I'll let you read these here, but it's little bonuses here, just a little bit of an enticement to get you up and rolling and started here. You can trade with small amounts here, and then anyone who opens and funds an account in this time period will be eligible for this $41.63 of dollar tether that they are giving out. This link, our sponsorship link, will be directly underneath this video, impossible to miss. Right? And you'll see it here when you come over to the site with our name on it there. So we've got a lot of interesting things we're working on with them. I think you can look for more and more opportunity over the coming months. So with that said, let's get back to the video. Okay, thank you, BitGet. All right, moving on here. Now, this is where we left off here. Often my suggestion is, when possible, let's look for the simplest potential outcome here. Well, it certainly, looking at here on a daily, this would seem to be the simplest, most obvious solution here for the Elliottian, that we're in the midst of an impulse here. Well, okay, right. We're either starting or ending something here. The starting scenario is, well, we don't need to go there just yet. We might, but so far I think higher probability is we're in the process of ending rather than starting something. So if we're going to work backwards from that, it's really pretty simple, right? If this is a 5, we got to work back to, well, how could we do it? Well, we can certainly get a zigzag here. We've got a pretty big C in it. Again, it's not perfect, right? Ideally, for the purist, the B wouldn't go this far in a zigzag. Now, we've looked at a variety of different counts here, but as we just continue to grind lower, again, this looks like the most obvious solution, that we're in the process of the 5 here, and it's quite technical. It's hard to argue with it as your primary count. Now, it's a count, right? So now, again, we're going to dig in a little bit more here. The implication would be here, again, if I just kind of use some of the channeling here that's built into Motive Wave, by the way. Right? So I know most of you are on TradingView, but if you ever wanted to go to the premium TA package, there is simply nothing better than Motive Wave. You've heard me say that before, but I know the majority of you don't use it, so I sprinkle it in here and there. One of the nice things about it here is I can isolate waves, or you can just right-click and isolate the 3, 4, and you can see how the retracement here to this prior zone here, just perfect. Prior support becomes the resistance. Again, we're going to dig in a little bit, but the implication here, if this is going to complete, and we're going to go to what would be typical targets, either for the projections on the wave 5, again, just using the most common targets. Additionally, if we're in the throes of an impulse coming down to finish the 5 of the 5, you can see targets down here anywhere from 12 to, well, the 100 is 91. So I'd cut, that's a pretty wide box here, from 12 to 9 reasonable targets here. And then you're going to start to put yourself in alignment with some of this structure over here Are we going that low? Well, we certainly could be. We certainly could be. I'm sad to say. As a bull and a long-term, well, anyone who's a bull is now a hodler. Let me get rid of that. I know that's annoying. Oh, where'd you go? Okay, there we go. Well, if we're coming down here, right, my plan is to dollar cost average on the way down. You really have to, this is challenging your belief in crypto as a long-term viable solution. You got to make your own decision there. To me, it's just a matter of time. Right? It's just like, okay, we got to get through this extended period here that's gone longer than I anticipated. Certainly, I think many did. It seems to be accelerating now, so we're very much in a risk-off scenario. Fed is doing what they're doing to control inflation. And we've not seen any of the more typical inflation hedges be rallying. What is rallying? Well, the dollar is a beast over here, right? Now, this we'll get back to Bitcoin, but we got to pay attention over here. Now, the first thing to note here, this is absolutely striking what a spectacular Elliott Wave count this is. And by that, I don't mean my particular interpretation of it, but this is about as good an Elliott count as you're going to see. I'd be surprised if people were counting this differently. Now, I'm on the weekly. Pretty hard to miss it, right? So we get a 1, we get a flat into the 2. It's interesting how balanced this is. So we get a 1, we get a 2. Here's a 1, 2. Up to our 3, we'll go right into the pocket, 1618, 175. Another flat into the 4, and then this just raging rip up here. We've just gone to and tagged the 127 beyond 112 here. So we're, where are bulls trying to get, right? They're trying to get up here, right? That's where all the liquidity is going to be. They've already grabbed that next target. Now we're talking 119. Could we go that high? That would be a 1618. Yikes. And of course, you also have, I think I've shown this a couple of times here, right from the 50, we're already to and through the first algo target. Second target up here at 122. Which is why if we bring this over here and look at, there's certainly that would be a reasonable target, the prior high. If we're getting up to that range here, it's going to be very tough for Bitcoin to rally in the face of that, right? Because we're trading it against. Where's my motive wave here? We'll get into that stuff in a minute. If the dollar's screaming up to 119, it's going to be hard for Bitcoin to do anything but just head down to some of these lower targets, right? So if you're a bull and you're hodling, well, welcome to the party. If you're trading with leverage and you've got stops on, well, you gotta use your best judgment here in terms of how much drawdown are you willing to take. Is there an opportunity here to be a buyer? Well, anytime you come to a major pivot here, there's always opportunity for volatility. But I'm on a daily. The longer term count here does not look particularly good for any resolution here at this level. That doesn't mean it's not possible. It just is not looking particularly good. Let me just quickly look at the alternate here if we want to take a hit off the hopium pipe. Is there a better looking solution? Well, we've looked at this repeatedly here. Now, again, I know this is the least favorite count of all the counts. But until we overlap this one, which certainly at this point looks like it's probable, not inevitable, but probable. Well, the one thing that would do for us is we'd eliminate one of these counts, right? So we could take the 4 off the table here. Now, we can't do it just yet. I know you hate that count. I don't particularly love it. I mean, I wouldn't be sad if somehow we came out of here, but I don't see that as a high probability event. Now, let's come over here to another possible scenario. Oh, pardon me, that's my other daily over here. Now, how else could we do it? Well, maybe I have to pull out here a little bit. No, I want to take that off here so we can get to it. Right. So if rather than as we were looking previously, some different scenarios. So could this be a B? And as we just look, could we have a zigzag with a B that's a little higher than a purist would like? Okay, maybe. The other possibility here is let me get this to a 2-day so you can see the whole thing, is that we've completed the impulse here and now we're correcting. Okay, well, if we're correcting, is there any way we could get out of here other than through what would appear to be, as we looked at in the last one, 1, 2, 3, this is the 4, and we're going down to finish with a 5. Is there a roadmap to get out of here? Well, there is. It's going to require that we hold down here, and that's we shall see. Let me bring this up a little bit. The one thing that you will note, now again, here I have the 3-4 highlighted here, and you see the perfect tag here, the perfect resistance as we came to it. It's starting to look a lot, if we focus on this lower range down here, we're starting to look a lot like we've got a Wyckoff schematic down here. So potentially, emphasis, potentially this would be some accumulation. Now, we got to wait and see how this plays out. From the Elliott perspective, well, if we're going to top up here at our all-time high and then come into a 3, because you could certainly make a case that you got a good ABC here, you got a clean finish on the impulse. You certainly could do it this way. Now, what the problem here is, and we had looked at a couple of scenarios, could we have a 1-2? Technically, we could, although it's looking less and less likely. How else could we do it? Well, if this is a W, well, certainly it doesn't look like we're getting started on a 1-2, but again, we can't eliminate it. What looks more possible, but again, if you start thinking about, well, what would cause Bitcoin to rally in the face of what's going on in traditional markets with the dollar and just the repricing of risk, hard to see what that event would be that would give us a rally here, because a target up here would be, low 30s, high 20s. If we were going to do it through this way. So we'd be looking to do this through a flat. So we'd have the W would be in through the ABC. Now, could we get a flat here? Again, this is, this is a big puff off the hopium pipe. Could this be an A? Right, so potential would be a flat. We'd have a 3, right, an ABC. We end with this diag into the C. So we'd have an A. We've come deep enough as a contender if we're going to hold down here, and this is potentially the liquidity grab down here at this pivot, and then we were to start to rally. Well, the implication, well, let's see how far we go here. I think the primary expectation would be all we're doing is a flat into an X. So W, X, again, the implication is even if we got this, it might be an opportunity to be a seller, to come down for the Y to complete it. Now, we're stretching a little bit length of time, and you can just see it here, the potential, the overweight of the W relative to the Y. Now, reasonable targets here. If we just, get nice features in Motive Wave here, I can just go here and say, okay, well, give me the most common Y targets versus the X, right? So I can see 100, some of these lower targets, 100 being the most common. So you say, oh, could I do it this way through a double? Could I come down here into a double bottom, right? Again, at high 17s. Well, first, let's get the X, right? Let's get the C in the X, right? Can we get that? Well, if you think about, again, same idea. If I think about candidates for ratio analysis here of the X relative to the W, right? Again, I can just put them here and it'll show me the highest probability. It'll always highlight the most common extensions here. Well, the most common would be the 618. That's bringing us up to almost 41. That seems less likely without some catalyst. But if we're going to do it this way, and then we're going to get there through an A, a B, and a C, we've got the ingredients of a flat. Now, assuming we don't start to just accelerate down here, we've got the ingredients, and then you start projecting up here, saying, well, okay, well, here's 100, here's a 1618. Those would be candidates for the most probable extensions for the C relative to the AB in a flat. Okay, well, can we get that? Well, that would get us a little closer to what would be a common target for the X, which would be between 50 and the 618. Well, I can hear it now. Back off the hopium pipe. We're going down. I'm not sure I disagree with that. But the point here is to just give yourself a roadmap. So you have scenarios, so you're prepared, right? If we're going to keep going down, okay, well, we can lean into that count. We just looked at it right here, the most probable count. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're finishing. If we start to rally, if, big emphasis on if, well, where is that likely to be going? Again, I'm just using probabilities here. Right, even here at 20, right? If we got back to 20, okay, it's hard to think through what would cause that, but that'll get you in trouble trying to anticipate fundamentally, right? If you're a technician, probably best to stay with the technicals and just look through this. Now, is that possible? Yeah, it's possible. Is it probable? Well, I would suggest this is the most probable. If we're coming down here, well, again, it's up to the individual. I will be buying aggressively, but that's me. Right? That's my plan. This doesn't bother me other than it's just taking longer. Okay, let's get down to the shorter term. Oh, shit. I think this is where we left it here last week. Oh, I don't know if I want that one. Let me get let's get over here. I think this is a better look. Now, of course, over here, I'm mixing in the Sonar Labs tool suite right now. If you know, you guys know we've partnered with them. We've done a lot of training on that with them and on this approach to the market via market structure and supply and demand zones here and fair value gaps and the things that come along with that. If you're unfamiliar, you can always go over to our YouTube playlist and you just dig a little bit. You'll see within the playlist, you'll see SMC structure and oriented towards a trading view and then referencing using the Sonar Labs tools. Our link also to them is directly underneath. If you wanted to apply some of this and get access to these tools, they're very, very reasonably priced. I think they're dramatically underpriced. I'm always telling them that they're not. Well, they're providing extreme value for the price point that they're offering it. If you wanted an additional 10% off, all you got to do is use our link. It's right in our link tree underneath this video. Okay, enough promotion. So you see, now this is one of their newer features here. So it's incorporating, I have the higher time frame market structure running in conjunction with just what's on the chart. So if we look at this, I can see that I'm in the, if I draw it this way, if you can see it here on the daily chart, this is a big demand zone that I'm in the middle of, right? So they fade it slightly. I mean, they really, really nice work here with this. So I can see here that I've got a big daily zone, demand zone here. Now we've poked through the low end of it here, but we're not getting closes below. So we still have it in play on the daily basis. Now, again, how would you count this? It's a tricky one. Now, the one thing that I think we can all agree on is that this, well, shit, come here, that this is an impulse. Really a force fit to try and turn that into a 3. So as before, we're either starting or finishing something here. Now, one possibility is that this is an impulse that's a C, and we'd have to reposition this count. Oh, you might be coming down here into an A, a B, and then a C like that. So then this coming down here, what would we call this? Well, it's hard. You can't quite get an impulse. And I mean, it's really just a horrible looking impulse. But the 3 here looks reasonable. Well, then we certainly, is that a B? Well, we were looking for, if it was going to go as an A, B, C, right? If we were going to have A, B, and C, well, that's not the start we wanted. So what do we get? We get a pretty clear 3. Note here, right? The supply zones here that we're tagging. This is really valuable, particularly if you're trading short term. Now, I'm on a 2-hour here, and I'm over on BitGet here. So coming into the supply zone here, well, that's the Fed day, right? As we rallied right into it. Coincidence? I'll let you decide. Now we're back down here. Now, what are we doing here, right? We're just stuck in this range here. I'm not sure the Elliott is particularly helpful here. I mean, I'm not suggesting to don't have it on here, but I don't know that it's adding any value in terms of where we headed next. To some degree, we've got to get out of this range, and for clarity, we need something to come out either one way or the other, right? Well, of course, it would be coming from down here. If we're going to come out down here, then this is going to help us identify, well, what's most likely, right? That's all we get is what's most likely if we're going to come out of here with anything impulsive. Well, of course, path of least resistance currently is of course down. So what would be the alternate, right? Is this some sort of, well, it's a waterfall, so you'd have to call it impulsive. Is that a 1-2 and down we go? Well, how would we count that? All right, so you see the Elliottician here is you're kind of running into a brick wall. You don't have enough. As we come down to these lower time frames, it becomes kind of a jungle down here. Well, it needs to reveal more. We don't have enough to where we could have any conviction in what we've done. I don't have a lot of conviction in this other than it's more likely a 3 than a 5. That's certainly a 3, but where does it fit? All right, how do we, oh shit, let me see if I can get this back in here, get enough. So this was the potential scenario we looked at exactly 1 week ago, right? So here's our low. Okay, maybe, right? It's kind of ugly, but maybe that's a 1. The thought was candidate, maybe a 2, maybe, right? Maybe a 2 here. Got the impulse, right? So the 1-2 was looking pretty good, right? When we were doing this. Right, candidate, right? So reasonable. Now, as we've come down here, and now we're through the lows here, again, right, you don't want to hang on to a bull count, past the point of what's reasonable here. Are we technically, can we confirm that there's no possibility we've got a 2? No, we can't. As long as we stay above this low, the possibility of a 2 here stays alive. Is it probable? I think it's less likely, but not impossible. Well, let me rephrase. The count would be invalidated, right? So we haven't reached the point of invalidation yet. But boy, are we going to need to have something happen to drive this up here. And even that, right, is going to be, how are we going to count that? A, B, C, 1, 2. How are we going to get out of here? It almost, again, Elliott had on, there doesn't seem to be a way to get out of here with this idea that this, well, even if you put the 2 over here, how are you getting out of here? A, still working through a B. A, B. There's no way to do it, right? If you were thinking A, B, or 1, 2, even if you were thinking A, B, well, we have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You can't get out of here. There's almost, barring something explosive where we're going to reconsider what we've got here. Again, path of least resistance remains down. Now we got to see, right? Can this daily demand zone that we're sitting in the middle, at the low end of, can that hold it? Well, this might be a bit of a tell that, it's been tested once back in. Now we're right back down to the low end of it. Can we hold that going into the weekend? Well, I wouldn't be adding to longs here myself, right? I'm always looking for a strategic location that would make sense to add to longs. This is not it. So, right, I mean, keep in mind, it's not unreasonable to have no trade on, or just be flat, or certainly just be in spot so you don't have to worry about leverage. And consider what are the strategic locations for accumulation for you, right? Now, I've been accumulating for a while. So this is a dollar cost averaging process for me. All right, again, as I like to remind you guys, our intention here is not to be right about the count. Our intention is to be profitable over time. I'm not worried about being a Bitcoin holder here if I think 3 to 5 years. Now, of course, people have been saying that for some time, but so that your own individual, let's see if I've got this here, your own individual interpretation of what's happening here. Can I do that? Is certainly going to play a role here. I want this, right? Do I have the ingredients here for a head and shoulders? Yeah, I do. Right? Could I possibly, for you traditional traders, I'm not very good at that. Maybe I can pull that down there. Possibly head and shoulders here. Well, it's hard to miss it, right? Possibly. Come here. There we go. I probably should have done that earlier. Head and shoulders, maybe. Again, hopium. Got a neckline here. We're going to break that. Well, it better get busy in a hurry, right? You really don't want to see it grab that low. I mean, it's because you can see we've already had the liquidity grab down here. We've already had it once here. No legs, back down. No legs. Are we going back down? Well, you can see the TA pattern here, but I wouldn't personally. I'm not buying here. I'm going to wait and see as we get out of this range. So, do I have anything else here? Well, let me give you one thing that I do think looks attractive as a possible buy here, and that's over looking at Chainlink. Since Tony Talon and I were going through this count yesterday, coincidentally he and I happened to be both looking at it at the same time. And, this is for those of you. Looking at what's happening in the Ethereum ecosystem here. Now, so this could be one of the winners of the merge. Obviously, it hasn't been Ethereum, at least not yet. But you've got a reasonable count here. So the question mark here is whether or not this needs to be included, which would be, if we start to rally here, this would be a very high-class problem to a bull if we're going to come out of here like that. Because what it's leaving is another 1-2. Which would make this even more bullish, because if we go 1, 2, 1, 2, and this is 3, right? Now you could just call, okay, well that's when it hits the exchange, and you could start the count here, but I think you certainly could start it here and go 1, 2. Again, this would be a very high-class problem if we had to accommodate this 1, 2 here, because that would mean another 3, 4, 5, right? And it implies higher prices. We shall see, but I think the count here is pretty interesting. Again, we go, if it's 1, 2, if it starts here and we just focus on the green count, 1, oh, shit, you'd have to do this WXY here into the 2. Again, it's deep for the 2, but it's perfectly valid. Now, from this low, 1, 2, 3, beautiful flat here, and then looks like you got a running flat here. So with 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gives us into a 3. So here we are right at the 38. Now it's kind of the same thing here. We don't have a great start here because, of course, right, all of crypto is being repriced. So let's say it that way. Do we have anything here to really lean in? It's kind of the same problem. We're a little bit just kind of stuck here in this box. So this is one I would have on your radar. I mean, of course, I'm watching it. I've actually dabbled in it a little bit. This would be one to watch here. Now, if we start to come out of here on the downside, well, you're going to be rethinking where that 4 is. But what you know, where are we in the count? If not, because you can certainly see an ABC here, right? So A, B. Okay, can we get that done there as a C? Or maybe the C has to go further, right? You can, 1, 2, you know, is this? No, it could be, right? Let me get this over here. Get this out of here. This location here potentially. Oh shit! How would we count that? I guess you'd have to do it this way. So we'd go 1, 2. This being 3, 4, 1, 2. Right? Could be we're coming down here. Here, let me change that. Let's get that. What do I got here? Let's go micro. Let's go to, oh shit, white's good. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. If this sideways action here, which is very reminiscent of a 4, if we're just going sideways, right, we're not advancing the trend, we're just going sideways. If that's a 1, 2 and we need to come down, well, the 50 here in the POC, based on visible range here, and again, note I'm in log scale. If we're coming down here, I'd do the same thing. Note here I'm coming into the 3, 4 down a degree. Down a degree. Jesus, come on, TradingView. God, that annoys me. Right, big high volume node here. Coming into the down a degree, 3, 4. This would be an area where I'd be looking for some accumulation. Again, you don't have to buy the falling knife. Right? Look for some support to hold if we're going to break. Look for a reaction. Right now you got a low risk, right? An entry location. Okay, so can we get out of here in a 1, 2, right? Get out of here with that kind of roadmap ahead of us. Remains to be seen, but interestingly, strategically where we're located here. One to watch, let's leave it that way. And so there's not much to do with Bitcoin. You're either a hodler, you're out, or you're just looking for the next opportunity. Or, pardon me, or you're short and you're making money. So I just thought I'd give you a little something that we had been looking at as well here, and I've shared this with some members. One to keep an eye on for any signs of alts starting to get some traction here. All right, this continues to be the biggest problem right here. Right now, note here that we've got the ingredients here for this count to be running into. Oh shit, what do I have below? So I've got a MACD here. This is actually a really nice one. These guys do a great here. I'll give you a quick plug for these guys here. These are free. DGT, these guys have a really nice suite of free tools on TradingView. I recommend them highly. As a matter of fact, they've got, I'll let you go find them. DGT, just look them up. They've got, 7, 8, 9, 10 really solid indicators that would be worth looking at. This is their MACD that's got a lot of other things built into it. You got to squeeze up here and, there's a lot here. Now, the last thing that happened out here on the weekly is that we've got a crossover for a long. The last long here hit its take profit. Now we've got the next long implication, right? Well, path of least resistance obviously is going higher. I mean, this is a vertical scream. No, so why is that happening? Right? Interest rates are going up, right? So now we have, we used to have no alternative. Now we do have an alternative, right? So if fixed income, right, gets high enough here, it becomes a challenge to the stock market and risk assets. Why put your money at risk if you can put it into something that's safe and get 2, 3, 4, 5%? Okay, so for crypto to start to look better, we're going to need to start to see this start to come down. Now this is a weekly impulse at some point going to complete. So if you think about that, where the retrace would be, the implication of the retrace would be, well, let's just look at the 50. Oh shit, I got a lot on here now. Let me, well, here we can do it that way, right? If we were going to come down to the, god damn it, to the 50, 3 would do it here. Now you're kind of in line with this down here. Would put you back down to 92, and more back in this range here. That would be more common, right? And then perhaps going up again. I don't know. Right? It's hard to argue with a completed well, if and when we get a completion up here, assuming we're not just going to continue to go vertical indefinitely. But right now, no signs of a top. Let's say it that way. All right, so with that here, all right, guys, I got to wrap it up here. Now, this coming week, I'm going to be out of town on Monday. I'm back Tuesday midday, so I will not have a live stream on Monday. What I'll likely do is just roll it over to Wednesday, so members, you'll know about that. And I guess if you're a YouTube sub, you'll get notified, whether you're watching live or watching it after the fact, which is what most people do. All right, so hopefully I gave you a few things to think about. All right, challenging times here if you're a bull, but again, talk to me in 3 to 5 years. Okay, guys, have a good weekend, and I'll catch up with you likely on Wednesday. Okay, take it easy.